Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to a Tuesday night. It is the Earthmaster here, about 10:13 p.m. here, California time. July 9th, 2024 is the date. Latest activity does show a large earthquake coming in here just south of South Africa, right on the plate boundary here. It's going to be an oceanic fracture zone, originally coming in as a 6.5. So this area is going to be right here between the Australia plate and the Africa plate. See the two arrows here pulling away from each other, indicating oceanic rift zones there. USGS not picking up on this earthquake yet. I'm trying to see. There is the signature. I'm just barely able to see a signature of a large earthquake here on just a couple different seismograph stations. But definitely looks like there's something big coming in down there, 6.4. Let's check out the tsunami warning center here real quick, which is over here. I don't think there's going to be any information yet from those folks either. So we'll wait, see what it comes up with. Again, this is coming off of the EMSC data, 6.4. So we'll go over and check that out with them real quick. They're almost always the first to put out an earthquake. Actually, they're reporting a 6.7 on here, so that's a considerable upgrade if that is the case. But then when you click on it, it's a 6.4. So a little bit of bouncing up and down. Source parameters have not yet been reviewed by a seismologist. So some of these providers for this event are coming from Australia, Serbia, looks like Turkey, Spain, Malaysia, France, of course the EMSC there, France, Germany. So they'll figure it out. They'll definitely get a correct magnitude on this before too long. There we go. USGS picking up on it there. Wow, 6.7. So it does look like a pretty large earthquake out here. For that 6.7, it has been reviewed by a seismologist from the USGS here. They kind of jumped on it pretty quick. Not going to lie, it took them a little bit, but they got this posted up fairly quickly. It is in a zone that does see quite a bit of historical data out here. If we pull up the earthquakes here over the last 100 years or so, you can see that fracture zone quite distinguishedly out here across the area of the Australia plate and the Africa plate here, as I showed you guys right here. So again, a divergent zone. Been a little while since we've seen anything larger out there, but surprise, surprise, it's up there. Let's see what we got. I don't think there's going to be any tsunami statement. These types of earthquakes along this plate boundary, that type of plate boundary, normally do not produce tsunamis. You'd have to have a subduction zone or a major strike slip type of fault transform boundary, but these divergent zones, not likely. 6.7. I'm kind of curious. We'll probably see those S waves traveling around the seismograph stations here shortly. So we'll check back on that in a little bit. Real quick recap here. Northern California looks like it's lighting up a little bit out here. At the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone, a 2.2 and a 2.8. There in the last hour. As far as the tremor map goes tonight along the Cascadia subduction zone, 76 epicenters of tremor. Little downturn here compared to what we've seen over the last 6 weeks or so. But still, we got tremor activity coming in, and it's a dandy of a one. It's been, quite a bit here recently. So as always, got to keep an eye on upstream activity. That tremor activity is occurring roughly 35, 45 kilometers deep here in this area, and it does look like it's adding strain up towards the locked area. Pacific Northwest, handful of smaller quakes up there. The rest of California, as you can see, very spotty at best. Not a whole lot going on. The rest of the country out here as well, fairly quiet. One earthquake on the New Madrid seismic zone there earlier this afternoon with a 1.6. But aside from that, it's actually been somewhat quiet here. I think that's coming to an end here in terms of worldwide movement. Kilauea Volcano still seeing some earthquake activity up here across the upper East Rift Zone and the summit area. Let's go check out the latest information here on the volcano there on the Big Island from the USGS. Just a real quick check of the deformation data here on the charts, and we're still going up. Still going up, no downturn here, none whatsoever. So consistently going up. A little bit, it may not look like much here on their new design graph here. They made an adjustment a week or so ago. But I think it just smooths out the irregular type of waves here that we're seeing, these ups and downs. I think that's just kind of sorting those out and showing more of a consistent line. But either way, we're still going up. Not going down, quite inflated. And with this newer activity out here, let's see here. Hard to say exactly what we're going to see out here. Could see some further movement out here across the area of the South Sandwich Trench, or potentially even an increase in activity out here across the Mediterranean following this movement down south. It just makes sense. We see it all the time with the Pacific Plate out here, the Nazca Plate, and the Mid-Atlantic Ridge out here, these oceanic divergent zones. And the arrows, where they point, this is a general GPS displacement here of the entire plate. And I'm sure there's, specific fault systems here that are different from this, but this is a general movement of the plates here on the map. Let's see, anything else down in the Southern California area? There was a little bit of swarming here in the Baja California area. Let me pull up the earthquake 3D globe, see what we got. Bells are off. Double checking that real quick. That's a pretty large earthquake down there. Goodness. 5.0 way up here. That's kind of odd. Well, not quite the opposite side of the globe here, but pretty darn close. A little bit of offset. That's well north of Iceland up here along the plate boundary. Way up there. Talking right here. See those arrows pointing away from each other as well around this region. So a lot of activity stirring up in these divergent zones. That should start up, kick up some further earthquake activity out here around the globe. There was a little bit of movement out here in the Southeast Pacific Rise. That should amplify conditions out here across the Chile area, the Peru-Chile Trench. That movement that stirs up out here between the Pacific and the Nazca Plate. See these boundaries here separating? That adds further strain due east, right there across that subduction zone. All right, let's check out space weather here real quick, and then we'll get this uploaded here to the YouTube channel. 3738 is about the only sunspot right now that's showing some signs of growth and complexity. It's actually growing quite rapidly here. Going to have to watch that because these magnetic cores are gaining some momentum quickly. It is in the Earth-directed view, so anything that does blast off from here will be geo-effective, no doubt. Huge cluster of disorganized sunspot activity over here around the southeastern limb, and it looks like a newer one up on the northeastern limb. We'll kind of keep an eye on as well. But for the main menu tonight, so to speak, on sunspots to watch is going to be this area right here, currently facing the Earth. That's going to be 3738. Overall threat, 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 40, X flare around 5% chance or so. And right now, no major auroras in the forecast. And far as, let's see if we can spot those surface waves here. There we go. Look at that. We're starting to see those come in. It takes a little while. These actually might be the primary wave that we spotted. Either way, it is showing up. It's a fairly large earthquake, so a 6.7 will show up across numerous seismograph stations out here around the globe. There's Chile, there's Japan, even showed up in Japan right there, so that's pretty crazy. Southern California. Let me see here. 6.7. I'll check these magnitudes here and see what we got. Some of them are saying a 6.3, 6.0. Hard to say, though. Most of these are upper sixes. I don't see anything in the 7 range. But, you know, originally the computer will go through all of these magnitudes here and put together an average based on location and whatnot, and then the USGS seismologist will review everything, including the main signature, and take a look at it and decide the correct magnitude from there. But it does look like it's sticking at a 6.7 earthquake. So we'll see what kicks up overnight. Have a good night, folks. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later. And again, the Tsunami Warning Center, nothing being reported out here. These earthquakes in that range do not produce tsunamis, at least not along that type of plate boundary out here. It's a fracture zone separation of the seafloor. I'm sure if it was some type of catastrophic fracture where we've seen it open up more than what we should, then it could obviously produce a tsunami. But upper 6 along this plate boundary, not going to see any tsunami. And just for verification, I don't know if we got any buoys down there or not. We don't, surprisingly. But the main areas are going to be around the subduction zones and these open waters here where the waves tend to travel. This here looks like some type of error. I don't see any major adjustment on it. Very small error going on here. These are meters, right? So that's very small amount of wave height adjustment, wave column height. And if you look at that, that's way out here. Ways away from the South Africa area. All right, folks, have yourself a good night. Stay safe out there, and we'll keep an eye on things. That's about all we can do right now. Have a good night.